So if you were to look it up, you would find there are so many different traditions, and people use the word satsang for different things. So sometimes if you say satsang, they go, oh, you do music gatherings. So that often is called satsang. Or my husband has friends who are Indian, who are Hindu, and they're just so taken by the fact that Richard's wife offers satsang. That's their tradition, you know, in India. They can't even believe that's being offered in another country other than India. So the word satsang is really Sat and Sangha. It's a Sanskrit word, and Sat is truth and Sangha is community. And so when we come together in truth, and so then what really is truth? So that's what satsang is, pointing us back to truth. But what is that? So we often hear people speak about my truth. That's not satsang. That's not what we refer to as truth. That's undeniably present, free, here as you, beyond name, form, mind, beyond anything that you could research, beyond any satisfaction you could ever give the mind, beyond relationships and circumstance, beyond life and death. So this really is the opening into and the discovery of this that's always been. It's not the discovery of something that wasn't here. This that always is. So that really is that we come together. Satsang is the pointing back home to where you always have been, and yet the following of the thought that I am somebody, which we learn. We say, I am, you know, a little one. We take that, I am somebody. I'm not you, I'm not my mum, I'm not my dad, I'm somebody. And so that colours our whole perception and experience of the truth of life. So satsang is in a way, the willingness to see the lie, to see where we sell out, to see the false, it's the falsity of what we've believed is real. And when we stop that, so it's not about taking on another belief, it's not about taking on something else to feel that, it's not trading one for the other. It's when we stop following any thought, any belief, any idea of who we are, we get to discover who we've always been. And that's satsang. Beautiful. And so the discovery is not finite. This discovery doesn't end. Whatever is discovered, there's an opening and a deepening, an endlessness to the discovery. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask about that?
Well, it's sort of, you know, when you say it's beyond thoughts and stuff, but it's funny, sort of just, you know, a baby came to my mind, like just whatever, laying on his back, and you know, just how they whatever, play with their hands and feet, and you know, and how like they're just there.
It's so beautiful because the baby's not going, oh, it's my hand and it's a particular hand. It's just hand is coming and going, feet are coming and going. The form is, it's not identified as ownership of the body and the name and the form, that comes through our human development, you know. And so that innocence of form and formless, and the delight of being, really the delight of being, you know, it's just beautiful. So yes, this that's here even before the form of the baby, this that's here always, through everything, this that's nothing to do with human experience, nothing to do with human form, that all of creation is being birthed in, dying in, if we think of the cosmos and the stars, being birthed, dying. It's all occurring in this conscious grace that's already living our life. And you know, it's like we can't even fathom it, understand it with the mind. So the purpose of satsang, like maybe a question comes and we either think we need the answer to it, or we're trying to discover something only to find that we don't need to discover anything other than what's being pointed to. It's a relief. So there's a lot of relief in the room, a lot of radiance in the room in Newcastle. The ripple of it was beautiful. And so something, when you were overseas, called you to satsang and you didn't even know what it was, because this grace was calling already. And then something's called you to come today, because this is already calling you home. So beautiful. You know, there's a usefulness to coming into form and taking name and form. There's a usefulness to that. What happens is we believe, though, at the core level, that that's who we are. So there's no problem that I call you by your name. Anyone, we use name and form and gender. But if we believe that that's who we are, who we're seen as, how we act, and that we have to protect it at all costs, that's really what's running. Even with the naming. So if you think a long time back, there wouldn't really have been naming. There would have just been that we knew we were in each other's clan. We knew that we belonged, not even necessarily to the parents, that we belonged to the group, to the clan. And then over time, naming became useful because Smith, like if we just use some common kind of names, Smith was the smithy and Smith's son was the son of Smith. So you get to see how naming became useful. And what's happened, we identify though. So the naming was the role, that we were a smithy or black, you know, whatever it is. And so we get trapped in this belief that we're the name and the form and the role and the gender. And we suffer because of it. So originally it was part of the survival of the human species, because the animals are not going around going, I'm this kind of dog and I'm that kind of dog and hi, my name's Fred. And they don't do that. They're just being dogs together. Or against each other, because it's survival with the pack. So we get to see that mechanism, that survival mechanism that's in place, and we get to see that it's actually not us, even when it rises, that it's not who we are, that we don't have to believe it, that we don't even have to participate in it, that we can call each other by name, but it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't matter. So then there's a lot of freedom in being able to be ourselves, really ourselves, unencumbered. Then we notice whether the mind comes in play to try and understand. We notice how the body responds. We notice what happens with emotions. We just see it. It's not a problem. It's not that we have to stop the mind, stop the emotions, or stop the body. It's like I've been saying, you know, like saying, oh dear, it's a thumb. That's no good. It's just part of the mechanism. The mind, the body, the emotions. Part of the mechanism, no problem. It's beautiful.